Hello and welcome to the AWS Certified Solution Architect Foundation Series. My name is Jeremy Chara. I'll be hanging out with you through this entire series, which actually is now done. I've finished recording the entire series, and this nugget is always one of my favorite to record because I get to take all of these topics that I've talked about and hand it to you on a silver platter and say, look, this is going to be what you learn. And it's funny, just even as I say that, my mind just went 50 directions. I'm like, oh, and I can in this there's just so much to talk about, but let me hone it in. What we're going to be talking about here is the cloud. Welcome to the cloud, at least as a high level view as it relates to Amazon Web Services. Talk about what we're going to be doing here. Then we'll look at the specifics of the first AWS certification. The Certified Solution Architect is the first certification Amazon has come out with. I want to give you kind of an overview, some of the how this series lines up to that, and just again, big picture on the certification, and then spin that right into how to get the most from this series. CBT Nuggets actually has a very unique and effective way of training, and I've got some tips for you. I've been teaching with CBT Nuggets for more than a decade now, and I've got some tips for you for how you can maximize your learning through this style that we call CBT Nuggets. Well, let's start off with the big picture: cloud computing with Amazon Web Services. It doesn't take you too long in the world today to hear the words cloud computing. I mean, even non-technical people hear about that all the time because truly the cloud is upon us. And what is the cloud? Wow, that's a bold question to start it with. Can I give you a really simple definition? It just means it's not here. Well, where's here? I mean, it's not at my house. It's not at my office. It's not at my friend's house or their office. It's not here. Most likely, it is in a data center. And okay, what is it? Well, the services that I'm trying to access, whether it be a website, whether it be file storage, whether it be blah blah blah. Fill in the IT service. It's not here. It's put in a data center that has the best of connectivity, the best of servers, the best of redundancy, the best of firewalls, so I can put all of my funding in one place instead of spreading it out, which is traditional IT, to all my offices and having to build this large, highly available infrastructure wherever I go. So cloud computing really does change everything. And I will tell you, if you are new to Amazon Web Services, you are in for a ride. I mean, I just have a whole bag of paradigm shifters right here that I'm going to just pull out, and you're going to be going, wow, wow, wow. It really does change everything, and it's exciting. So why is Amazon Web Services in this world? Because they have been in it the longest. And I will tell you, and you'll hear this as I get into the next couple nuggets, Amazon Web Services didn't evolve like Amazon just had some extra computing capacity. And we'll talk about this in the very, I think, first nugget right after this. How did Amazon get there? They didn't just have some bonus capacity that they rolled out and said, hey, why don't you guys just use some of our extra servers, and then Amazon Web Services came. No, they were very intentional about rolling this out as a service. And again, we'll talk more about that. But out of anybody, Amazon Web Services has been in this longer than anybody. So they have a massive head start around any other competitor that's out there. And I use competitor loosely, but I'll throw, for instance, Microsoft Azure. That's, I would say, the fastest approaching and most viable competitor. But I mean, there's also things like Rackspace. There's other people that are essentially allowing you to lease space in a data center that you can put your services on and things like that. But I would say out of them all, and it's surely because, I mean, we're talking 10 plus years of experience here. Amazon has just I'm trying to think of the word I can use. It's just like a veteran, right? In this quasi new thing that we call cloud computing, Amazon's like, well, new? What do you mean new? We've been there, and you get that feel as you're in their interface. It's like these features are seasoned. As in, they've been there, done that. They've seen the bugs. They've fixed them. They've figured out the best possible way for you to integrate. So, when I think of competition to Amazon Web Services, can I create an Excel spreadsheet saying, okay, here are the competitors? Sure, absolutely, I can. But it really is. I will say right now, Amazon is just standing in a class of their own. Really, just because of the vast experience that they've had with this. So, let's talk specifically certification. Because of the need for Amazon to have engineers that they say, yes, we know that these people know their stuff. We know that they know our services, and we can recommend them to you, and people can put it on their resume and things like that. They've created the first of what I believe will be many certifications that you can take. So if you go to aws.amazon.com/certification, it'll take you straight to this page right here, which goes over kind of the overview, but I want to hone you into a few key things. First off, there are 3 tracks. Can I call them tracks, as in major roads that you could head down with AWS certification? My background is heavily in technology certification. I've gone into Novell certification, was actually where I began many moons ago. Then it got into Microsoft certification, then got into Cisco certification, and every one of the vendors have different tracks. So Cisco is I would say my forte, as in the one I've spent the most time in. So there is, for instance, a routing and switching track for Cisco. There is a voice over IP track for Cisco. There is a security track. So whatever specialty you want. So Amazon has the same kind of thing, but they're calling it Solution Architect, SysOp Administrator, and Developer. Now, as of right now, I'm talking to you in 2013, they've only released one certification. I'm going to scroll down right about here to the current offering, which is the AWS Certified Solution Architect. So of these 3 tracks, there is one exam currently, again, 2013. It is the Solution Architect Associate level. Okay. Now, right now, how far Amazon is going to take this is still a mystery, but the associate level certification is typically the beginning of the track. And I'm, again, comparing to what you'd see in Microsoft or Cisco certification. Associate is like, okay, you've started your routing and switching track. So here we've got the solution provider, and we've got the solution provider associate certification, which will be the beginning of what is more of a design-oriented track. And that really is the differentiator. Key word right here, designing a distributed application, designing a system solution for an organization. So a lot of times the solution architect will not be the one actually clicking the buttons to do it. They're going to be the one sitting on a whiteboard saying, okay, where do these pieces fit? What's the best way to do this? What's the most cost-effective way? So these are the architects behind this. So think of a construction site. This is the one who rolls out the blueprint, not the one who actually puts the bricks in place. That would be the SysOps administrator, which currently there's no exam for. I'm sure that will be one of the ones that comes next. These are the ones who monitor, who implement, who have the in-depth knowledge of how things operate. So they are this. I want to sound this in any way, but they are the bricklayers, right? They are the ones who take that design that the architect has created, and maybe it's one and the same person. It could be, and then they go and start implementing it. And then, of course, there is a specific skill set that is a developer. These are the ones who are programming in AWS. They're creating applications that integrate into the AWS solution and use a lot of the AWS services to make it happen. And if you've been in IT for any amount of time, you know that that is a very different skill set from one who designs, from one who implements from a system administration level. So the certification that AWS has created is around that design at an associate level. So how do you design Amazon Web Services to best fit your organization's needs? Now, if you I just scroll down a little bit on here, if you look at the certification exam, right below here are all the topics, and you can read through those. I won't read them through right now, but what I do want to show you is this, resources. So Amazon says, hey, there are the following resources that can help you. There's Amazon Web Services classroom training. There is an Architecting AWS 3-day instructor-led training course, and then some other stuff. There's no one resource that you'll see on this list that Amazon says this one book or this one class or this one anything prepares you for this. It's kind of a gambit of resources put together. So I'm going to do that. That's what I'm here to do, is put all of these things together in a really fun, engaging sort of way, which we call CBT Nuggets, to have one resource that puts everything you need in one place to study for this exam. Now, right now, the testing is done through Criterion, which currently, I'll say today, is focused primarily on just Amazon Web Services testing, and they have a lot of locations. So hang on, I'm starting to get into the exam itself. So let me come back here and just make sure. Yeah, let me hit the other two key points here. I have broken this study for the certification series into two major, we'll call them groups of nuggets. There's a foundation series, which you're in right now, and there's an architecting for AWS. Now, the architecting for AWS really assumes that you have a lot of Amazon Web Services experience already, which I couldn't do that. I couldn't just start in with knowing that a lot of people might be coming here that they're brand new to Amazon Web Services. You know, they saw the website, you know, they hired onto a company that uses it, and they're just so. That's where you're at right now, is the foundation series. So this, think of this as filling in all the gaps that would be left if you were to just dive right into here. And I will tell you, if you dive right into the architecting for AWS, it's going to be like a freight train right at you if you don't have the material of the foundation. So let me give you this disclaimer. If you have been dealing with Amazon Web Services for years, you know the services that are available, you've worked with EC2 and S3, and you've done some integrations with those, then you may be able to look at the topics in the foundation series. I mean, the outline is right on CBT Nuggets website, and you maybe say, you know what, I'm just going to jump straight into the architecting series and go from there. But if not, then please come and take this series. I mean, it really will fill in a lot of the gaps. And I do go a little above and beyond. One of the things that you'll find with the AWS Certified Solution Architect is it is a design-oriented certification. So there's very little hands-on. As a matter of fact, if you're on the exam, there's no simulations. There's no, here's a screenshot of the web interface. Where would I click to do this, and the other? Or I mean, there's nothing like that. It's just design-oriented question, as this certification implies. But I have found that if you just walk in and you're like, okay, how do I design this? But you've never actually seen it done. I mean, you've never actually implemented an EC2 instance. You've never spun up a web server online and talked about, well, how do you integrate that? You've never created Route 53 DNS, right? I mean, if there's the practicality missing, like you've never even seen that, I find that a lot of times the design will be lacking because you don't have a full scope of what can this do? I mean, what does this look like when I say do this? That will the engineer know how to do that? So I've added a lot to this foundation series to say, here's some labs, here's some practical stuff. Let me give you a practical demonstration of setting up, for instance, a Glacier Vault to back up your data. So there's a lot of that added in, but do know as we go through this series, any nugget labeled practical in the title, in the title, is not going to be directly on the exam. But hold the phone, because I know like a lot of you that are studying for the exam in your mind, you're just like, I'm going to cross those. I'm not going to waste my time looking at them. I will tell you, you will be much more effective at the exam if you know how it works, meaning if you know how to set it up, if you've seen it click, because there's just synaptics in your brain that will go, okay, that makes sense when you actually see it done. So please, I really encourage you, even if you're studying only for certification, go through the practical nuggets. Well, I'm starting to get into my next slide, so I'll hang on to that. What is the prerequisites for this? There are no prerequisites from an Amazon Web Service. This is, anybody can walk in and do this. However, I will tell you, if you don't have an IT mindset, what does that mean, Jeremy? I mean, you haven't been there, done that. You haven't installed a Windows server. You haven't done some file shares. You haven't implemented a Ubuntu Linux server. And I'm not saying you have to be a Linux and Windows person, because I know those are few and far between. But I'm just talking about, like, you've been in a traditional IT environment. If you don't have that background, it will be a struggle, because Amazon Web Services does not teach IT. Does that make sense? They teach, here is how we implement solutions to IT needs. But if you don't have that IT background, then a lot of it's going to be like, why would somebody do this? So it really needs an IT mindset, which you would get from studying a Linux series, which you might, if you're totally brand new getting into this, I would suggest going through maybe a couple of the Foundation Microsoft, Foundation Linux, just a big picture. What is IT meant to accomplish? Nuggets that CBT Nuggets have on their website. Okay, so let me wrap this up by telling you now how to get the most from this series. And these techniques will help you not only get the most from this series, but from anything. I mean, if you're at home reading a book on marriage, you can, I'm going to tell you how you can get the best from that book on your marriage, especially this last one right here, right? Fall in love. I don't, this may sound a little egotistical, but it's really not. Most of my life, my career has been in training. So I really would like to say I know a lot about how to get information in people's heads and get it to stick there. And I really want to convey that to you because I know this sounds silly, but a lot of people, most people don't know how to do it. So for example, okay, let me actually first off get into a couple things I have here. First off, repetition. I mean, duh, it's just going through it again and again and again and again. And the fact is with CVT Nuggets, you have this everywhere. I will tell you all the time, I've got my iPhone in the car and I'll pop on right now I'm going through Sean Powers' Linux in the Real World. What an amazing series from CVT Nuggets just in my car as I'm driving. I'm not even going to tell you that I put my iPhone on the speedometer and watch things that he does while I'm driving because I don't usually do that. But you can if you wanted to, and you can just listen to it. Just listen to the audio again and again. It really helps soak a lot of those concepts in. Now can I expound a little on this one? I'm dead serious. Get out a notepad. Nope, not a dual screen monitor. Don't put a Microsoft Word document. I'm talking old school. It can be yellow, it can be white. A pen in your hand and start writing down key information that you hear. There is something tactile that happens when you take information that you hear and you start writing it down. Now, let me quantify what I mean by key information. You have to adopt a mindset right now. Come on, everybody, who's coming with me? You have to adopt a mindset of I am going to take what Jeremy is explaining to me and I'm going to teach it to somebody. That's the information I want you to write down. I want you to imagine as if you were creating a PowerPoint slide deck and you were going to be standing up teaching somebody about AWS technology. Every single nugget that you go to, just start creating your slides. What's on your slide? So you would say, okay, and this is what I do. Anytime I go through a nugget series, I don't do this in my car, by the way, but I would say slide 1. And this is what I write down on my little notepad. Slide 1, colon, and I would put, what is AWS? Question mark. And then I would put, okay, bullet point. So as I'm talking, if I were listening to myself, I would write down, I would talk about this and I would talk about that. I mean, you'll have to pause. You will have to pause about talking. Can I convey the alternative? Here's what a lot of people do, whether it's reading a book, whether it's watching this, is you go into television mode. To where you sit there and start watching it, and you're like, oh, this is good. He's pretty entertaining. Oh, that was a funny joke. It's kind of like you just kind of watch it and you walk away, and your retention rate. And can I tell you, there's been scientific studies on this. Your retention rate 7% a month from now. Okay, imagine taking an exam and getting a 7% on it. Right? Because that's what you're going to remember of the information that you hear. It's not good. It's not good at all. And one of the let me give you a personal experience. Like I said, I have been in training for most of my life. And so most of the time when I'm reading something, I do this because I have to. I've been, I know that I'm going to be standing up in front of a whole group of people often and explaining to them all these topics. And I don't want to look silly. I don't want to be like, oh, I don't know. Let me write that down and get back to you. So I'm sitting there going, okay, well, I gotta research more. Okay, what's on my slides? What do these bullet points mean that I'm talking about? And so here's what happened to me. After going through this, I had a thought. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to teach it, but I really want to learn about VMware. Which is a virtualization solution. And so I was like, I'm going to go get a book. And I walked in the bookstore and I grabbed my book and sit down. And I sit down on the couch. And by page 2, it's like, what is VMware? I'm doing the little head nod thing. I'm like, where you're like falling over. And I'm like, oh man, is this just like dull information or what? And I'm like, I'm starting to bang the book on my head. Stay awake, Jeremy. What's the deal? And here's the problem. I'm reading the book, and as long as the book isn't like, woohoo, Tom Clancy, somebody's diving from a building, I'm like, what's going to happen? If it's like, here's how you install VMware, I'm falling asleep. I am, and it happens to everybody that I know that reads a white paper. I mean, that's the number one thing that you hear people when they read a white paper, they're like, oh yeah, it's good bedtime reading, because you fall asleep. Why? Because there's no other motivation than, let me see if this is interesting. And if it sparks my interest in reading this or watching this, then okay, I'll watch it. But your retention, again, is going to be so low, and it's virtually impossible. And suddenly, so reading that VMware book, it hit me as I fell over on the couch for the third time. I'm going, this isn't working. What's my problem? I'm like, oh, I'm not responsible for this. I'm not teaching this to somebody. There's no motivation that I'm going to be standing up in front of a room tomorrow where people are like, excuse me, now what did you say about that? And I have to justify and clarify. I'm like, okay, Jeremy, fake yourself out. Fake your, I'm like, Jeremy, you will be standing tomorrow. And so that's where this came from. I started saying, okay, I need to create slide one. What is slide one? And I started realizing how much more I'm getting out of that VMware material or whatever material. So that's what I want to impart to you right now is please, whether you're reading a book, a white paper, you're going through these nuggets, start creating your, and I will tell you, every single series that I create, there's a yellow pad filled up. I'm talking, 80 pages, where I flipped. I'm just writing slides. I'm writing notes. And it doesn't have to be it can be nonsense. I could be going through and I'm talking about a server and you just on your little yellow pad is like, okay, server, connect over here. And that's going to be encrypted because of the kind of, it could just be like nonsense. But again, there's something that happens when you are writing with your hand. Okay, I've said enough about that, right? You got it. So next up, lab it up. Oh my goodness, this is just gold for you. AWS, it's so easy to create a lab environment because it's there. It's Cloud Lab, right? To where you can go sign up for your Cloud Lab. It does take a credit card, and actually there's a nugget in this series that's specifically geared to how do you sign up for an AWS account. Maybe you grab that one first. You don't have to go in order, right? And get that going. But as you're going through, if you're like, oh, that's interesting, stop there. As soon as you have that little spark of like, ooh, that's interesting, I want to try that. Pause right there, jump into the AWS and start doing it yourself. There are people that will tell, well, I don't learn from people telling me stuff. I learn from doing it. And I'm saying, do it, everybody. Jump on board for a couple dollars. And I'm coming to you from teaching a lot of different certifications where I'm telling people buy servers, buy $5,000 in router and switch equipment. It's like, oh, it's a huge investment. With AWS, it's like it's pennies. It's free to get started. And again, so more on that. You might just jump straight from here into the sign up for an account because Amazon gives you a ton of free stuff. And who doesn't like free stuff? Okay, so dig deeper. If there's any topic that you're going, well, I didn't get that all the way, or I wonder what if I would have gone this way. Really start digging deep, and that's whether you sign up for the AWS newsletter, which is it's like Christmas every month when they're like, hey, we lowered prices again, or hey, there's a new feature. AWS is probably one of the most dynamic companies I've ever seen, and that's what makes me so nervous about this series. I'm telling you, within a couple months, they're going to be adding new and this and that and all these different features to it. So it will really help to get subscribed to the AWS newsletter so that you can know what's going on. But also, standard Google searches and finding information online about the topics, looking at the AWS forums and community. AWS engineers are very active in looking at the forum posts and responding to them, which is amazing. I've seen a lot of organizations that have forums, and they're like, yep, that'll be users helping users. And so you never get the authoritative response of AWS engineering saying, or whatever company's engineers saying, this is how it works. So it's so helpful that AWS does watch and respond to those forums. So as you dig deeper into this, and you might be wondering, okay, I get all this. I'm following you, Jeremy. This is a little weird to me. Here's what I mean by it. The more that you understand something, the more passionate you begin to feel about it. I will tell you, every new technology, it doesn't matter, Novell, Microsoft, Cisco, AWS, voice over IP, it goes down the road. When I first get into it, I'm like, I don't like it. I'm like, it's different. I don't like it. It's our nature to just not like something. And I'll give you just a very simple example. Windows versus Apple. I know I'm going political on you to where that's almost, you might as well call somebody's mother names if you're going to say this. But when I got an Apple computer, I was like, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Why? Because I know Windows really well. I've spent years and years and years in Windows. So when I got to Apple, I'm like, where's the control panel? Where's my command prompt? How come when I type ipconfig renew, it doesn't get a new DHCP address? How come there is no ipconfig renew? It's just, stuff like that. And I'm just like, I don't like it. What? No, why? Why? Because I don't know it. Because it's built off free BSD Linux underpinnings. Because it's got all this stuff that I just don't know. Because I don't know it, I don't like it. But I will tell you, there are people where if you talk about Apple in any kind of negative way, they will have your head on a plate because they love it. it so much. Why? Because they like it. They know how it works. They can click a button and see the bouncing icon, and it makes them feel warm and fuzzy. And I don't want to get more into that, but people love what they know. And that's the same thing here. The more that you know about AWS through all of this, the more you're going to be like, wow, this is awesome. And that's going to be what drives you. I mean, that's what an employer sees. And when an employer says, wow, that dude is here till 9 o'clock at night because he just can't put this down. He's developing a solution and he's so thrilled with it that he just can't put it. It's not because we're paying him extra to do it, but man, now that we're seeing how valuable this guy is or this gal is to our organization, I mean, so those are the kind of things that make you a huge success, is the fact that you have passion towards whatever technology you are working with. And I will propose to you the way that you gain that passion is by forcing yourself through the tough parts of the I don't know it. I mean, I'm sure if I sat and I had to grab a couple books on Apple computers and start really working, I would be like, I love Apple. Why does anybody not use Apple? I just don't have the motivation to do that. So that's the key, is if you take what I'm telling you right here and you really start immersing yourself in learning and knowing Amazon Web Services, I mean, it's going to be a no-brainer. You're going to be like, this is amazing, and I am passionate. I am excellent at this technology, and you're going to do really well. So I bring it all back to the beginning and say this series will do that for you. It will show you Amazon Web Services in a way that you're going to be like, this is amazing technology. This is really cool. I'm really excited about it. This is the foundation series that gets you started with the AWS certification, and then will launch you right into the architecture in designing, really becoming that solution architect that the certification is designed for. Well, I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.